Good day, I'm James Merck Sumawang together with Kimberly Bermuda, Eliza Manalansan, and Carlo Joyce Puno, and we are going to discuss the Chapter 7, Educational Evaluation. So at the end of this chapter, the students will be able to explain the basic principles in educational assessment and evaluation, identify the different educational approaches, methods, and techniques, and explain the CIPP evaluation model. For introduction, in the United States, there is a Joint Committee on Standards for Educational Evaluation, which has developed standards for educational programs, personnel, and student evaluation. The Joint Committee standards are broken into 4 sections: utility, feasibility, propriety, and accuracy. In the Philippines, there is also a society which looks into educational evaluation: the Philippine Society for Educational Research and Evaluation, or PSERE. But mainly, educational evaluation standards are set by Department of Education. Various European institutions have also prepared their own standards, more or less related to those produced by the Joint Committee in the United States. They provide guidelines about basing value judgments on systematic inquiry, evaluator competence, and integrity, respect for people, and regard for the general public welfare. In order to systematize the evaluation process, the American Evaluation Association created a set of guiding principles, which can equally apply in the Philippine context. So these guiding principles are here understated. So first, we have systematic inquiry. Evaluators conduct a systematic database inquiries about uh, whatever's being evaluated. Inquiry cannot be based on pure hearsay or perception but must be based on concrete evidence and data to support the inquiry process. So, as an evaluator daw, kailangan meron tayo tong uh, systematic inquiry. Yung pag-evaluate natin, hindi basta-basta ano lang, uh, kung ano lang yung naisip mo, ganun. Kung ano lang yung para sa'yo na pang-judge mo dun. Kapag sinabi kasi nating evaluation, you're making judgments. So kapag nagja-judge ka, hindi lang basta daw, basta-basta na judge. Kaya pinapagawa tayo ng prop natin ng mga rubrics, ganun, para magkaroon ng systematic inquiry. So next, integrity and honesty. Evaluators ensure the honesty and integrity of the entire evaluation process. As such, the integrity of authorities who conduct the evaluation process must be beyond reproach. So, kailangan daw yung ating pag-evaluate is may integrity and honesty. Kailangan kung ano yung nakita mong ganun, ano yung resulta, yun yung i-judge mo. Hindi yung magkakaroon ka ng kung sino yung ini-evaluate mo, ganito. Parang dapat walang bias, ganun. Kailangan may honesty. Tapos, evaluation must be beyond reproach daw. Kapag sinabi kasi nating reproach, parang dinidisapprove mo, diba? So, kailangan yung evaluation process daw ay beyond disapproval. Ganon. So, next, competence. Evaluators provide competent performance to stakeholders. Pag sinabi nating stakeholders, yung mga families, authorities, mga administrators, teachers, ganon. So, the evaluators must be people or person of known competence and generally acknowledged in the educational field. So, syempre, evaluator ka, dapat competent ka. So, next guiding principles, respect for people. Evaluators respect the security, dignity, and self-worth of the respondents, program participants, clients, and other stakeholders with whom they interact. So, kailangan daw natin yung, yung evaluators na irrespeto yung security nila, dignity, ganito, ganyan, ng mga respondents nila. They cannot act as if they know everything but must listen patiently to the accounts of those whom they are evaluating. So, kung evaluator ka daw, di ka pwede mag-act na parang alam mo lahat, pabibo, ganun. Kailangang pakinggan mo din yung mga side nila or opinions ng mga taong or mga respondents mo. So next, responsibilities for general and public welfare. Evaluators articulate and take into account the diversity of interests and values that may be related to general and public welfare. So, kailangan daw, tinitake into account mo daw yung diversity, yung pinagkakaiba ng mga interest ng mga and values ng mga tao or yung related to the general public welfare. This evaluation guiding principles can be used at various levels. So, yung mga kanina, yung 5, no, na guiding principles, magagamit siya sa iba't ibang levels. 3 sila. So, first, institutional level, when we evaluate learning. At policy level, when we evaluate institutions. And at the international level, when we rank and evaluate the performance of various institutions of higher learning. So, in whatever level of evaluation these principles are used, it is well bear in mind that these guiding principles serve as a benchmark for good practices in educational evaluation. So, 7.1 Evaluation Approaches. Evaluation approaches are the various conceptual arrangements made for designing and actually conducting the evaluation process. Some of the evaluation approaches used today in the educational setting are original approaches, while others are refinements and extensions of these original approaches. So, ito yung mga approaches sa to make judgments. So, Staffelbeam and Webster in 1980 placed approaches into 3 groups according to their orientation toward the role of values and ethical considerations. So, hinati niya sa 3 group batay sa mga role of values. So, una yung pseudo-evaluation. The political orientation promotes a positive or negative view of an object regardless of what its value actually might be. So, political-oriented tong una. So, next, quasi-evaluation. The question orientation includes approaches that might or might not provide answers specifically related to the value of an object. Question-oriented siya. Tapos yung last, through evaluation, the values orientation includes approaches primarily intended to determine the value of some object. Those approaches will be explained thoroughly below. So una, pseudo-evaluation. These approaches are not acceptable evaluation practice, although the seasoned reader can surely think of a few examples where they have been used. So first approach is politically controlled. Information obtained through politically controlled studies is released or withheld to meet the special interest of the holder. So, ang example dito yung sinabi ng teacher ko dati nung panahon daw ni Marcos. Nung panahon ni Marcos, nung martial law, yung media daw, kontrolado niya. Kung ano lang gustong makita ng mga tao, yun yung inilalabas sa media, yun yung pinapalabas sa TV. So, ang ano, pag-i-evaluate ay base dun sa special interest nung ina-evaluate mo. So, parang vina-violate yung principle ng full and frank disclosure. So, next is public relation. Public relations, public relations, information is used to paint positive image of an object regardless of the actual situation. So, sa public relation naman, ito yung parang ginagamit sa mga propaganda, yung mga nagre-create ng positive public image. So, ang problema naman dito, it violates the justice. No? Parang kapag kasing sinabi mo lang yung mga magagandang bagay about sa object, parang hindi nabibigyan ng justice yung hindi nabibigyan ng justice yung object. Kasi puro positive na lang yung sinasabi kapag sa public relations. Kaya tong pseudo evaluation is not acceptable evaluation practice. So, to objectivist elite quasi-evaluation. As a group, these 5 approaches, so may 5 approaches under objectivist elite quasi-evaluation, represent a highly respected collection of discipline inquiry approaches. They are considered quasi-evaluation approaches because particular studies legitimately can focus only on questions of knowledge without addressing any question of value. Such studies are by definition not evaluations. These approaches can produce characterizations without producing appraisals, although specific studies can produce both. Each of these approaches serves its intended purpose well. They are discussed roughly in order of the extent to which they approach the objectivist ideal. So, ano nga to? Question oriented. So, first approach is experimental research. This is the best approach for determining causal relationships between variables. The potential problem with using this as an evaluation approach is that its highly controlled and stylized methodology may not be sufficiently responsive to the dynamically changing needs of most human service programs. So, here in experimental research, the evaluation approach is to determine causal relationships between variables. It requires controlled setting and it nagfo-focus siya sa mainly sa results. Okay, since nag-evaluate tayo ng causal relationships between variables. So next, Management Information Systems or MISS can give you detailed information about dynamic operations of complex programs. However, this information is restricted to readily quantifiable data, usually available at regular intervals. So, here in Management Information System, it continuously supply evidence needed to fund, direct, and control programs. So, ang parang key weakness naman nitong approach na to is that human service variables are rarely amenable to the narrow and quantitative definition is needed. So, kung wala yung mga bagay na yun, no? parang problema sa paggamit ng approach na to. So next, testing programs are familiar to anyone who has attended school, served in the military, or worked for a large company. These programs are good at comparing individuals or groups to selected norms in a number of subject areas or to a set of standards of performance. However, they only focus on testing performance and they might not adequately sample what is taught or expected. So sa testing programs naman, nagko-compare tayo dito ng uh, mga test uh, performance ng mga, for example, sa students. Sa school, di ba may mga student, yung mga test scores nila, ganun, test performance, kino-compare natin yun. Dun sila, yung variable na yun, yung mga test score, yun yung ini-evaluate. Ang problema daw dito, o yung key weakness ng testing programs, ay they might not adequately sample what is taught or expected. So, objective-based approaches yung next. Relate outcomes to pre-specified objectives, allowing judgments to be made about their level of attainment. Unfortunately, the objectives are often not proven to be important or they focus on outcomes too narrow to provide the basis for determining the value of an object. So sa naman, objectives-based approach, nire-relate ng mga evaluators yung outcomes to objectives. So ang problema dito, yung key weakness, is pwedeng mag-lead yung terminal evidence na masyadong narrow to provide the basis determining the value of an object. Content analysis is a quasi-evaluation approach because content analysis judgments need not to be based on value statements. Instead, they can be based on knowledge. Such content analyses are not evaluations. On the other hand, when content analysis judgments are based on values, such studies are evaluation. So, ang purpose ng approach na ito is to describe and draw conclusion about dun sa content. Kasi nag-a-analyze tayo ng content dito. Nandun na din sa name niya, content analysis. So, ang key weakness niya is the sample may be unrepresentative yet overwhelming in content, ganun. So, or yung analysis design often overly simplistic for a question. So next is accountability under objectivism as quasi-evaluation. So kanina, yung number 2, objectivist elite quasi-evaluation. So nasa pang 3 na tayo, magkaiba sila. So accountability. Is popular with constituents because it is intended to provide an accurate accounting of results that can improve the quality of products and services. However, this approach can quickly turn practitioners and consumers into adversaries when implemented in heavy-handed fashion. So yung accountability naman, famous daw siya, popular siya sa mga constituents. Parang yung mga evaluators kasi nagpro-provide sila ng accounting results to improve the quality and of products and services. So for objective vis elite through evaluation. So first approach under objective is elite through evaluation is decision-oriented studies. These are these are designed to provide a knowledge base for making and defending decisions. This approach usually requires the close collaboration between an evaluator and decision maker, allowing it to be susceptible to corruption and bias. So itong decision-oriented, may dalawang kailangan mag-collaborate, yung evaluator daw and decision maker. So ang approach na to is knowledge-based for making and defending decisions. So next, policy studies provide general guidance and direction on broad issues by identifying and assessing potential costs and benefits of competing policies. The drawback is these students can be corrupted or subverted by the politically motivated actions of the participants. So sa policy studies naman, nagpro-provide daw siya ng general guidance and direction on broad issues. Kasi nga, policy, no? So, ang key weakness niya is the drawback is these students can be corrupted or subverted by politically motivated actions of the participants. So, siguro yung policy masyado mahigpit, ganun. Yung mga evaluation parang nahahadlangan, ganun. Nahadlangan yung mga evaluators natin to get evidences or information from an object, kung ano man yung ini-evaluate nila.